Hello and welcome to this webinar about the 20th board meeting of the Green Climate Fund. My name is Grant and it's my pleasure to guide you through this webinar. We really appreciate you joining us today. We have an exciting schedule ahead. First, my colleague Sylvia will give a presentation about the latest issue of our publication GCF Insight. We'll have 10 minutes for questions and discussions after that. Then my colleague Jasmine will give a presentation about some of the issues that emerged from this last board meeting which she attended. As you'll probably have heard, it was quite an eventful board meeting, although not very much was decided. This will be followed also by some questions and discussions. To ask questions or to make comments, please use the chat function. To make questions really clear to us, you can tag them as questions by using the 3 little dots as shown here. This will help us a little, but don't worry too much, we'll read all the comments. So, let's get going. My name is Grant Ballard-Tremere and I'm founder and CEO of ECO. Over the past 18 years, we've been thinking deeper to support clients to study markets, design market transformational strategies, and to prepare implementation plans in over 130 countries. In addition to me, our other presenters today are Jasmine Hyman, a principal consultant, and Sylvia Emily, a consultant in our team here at ECO. Sylvia will now speak about the study we carried out in the run-up to the board meeting as part of our series called GCF Insight. This study focused on the experiences of stakeholders to develop projects for the GCF. Sylvia is a project formulation expert with a focus on sustainable business model innovation. She has developed a strategic design toolkit with tools for mapping, classifying and designing business models for energy access. So, Sylvia, over to you.
Thank you, Grant, for the introduction. With this presentation, I will illustrate the findings from a study conducted by ECO on the preparation of GCF funding proposals. The objective of the GCF Insights was to explore the experiences of different stakeholders with the GCF proposal development. And it was carried out in June 2018 through an online survey with 46 respondents. This study builds on ECO's previous survey from 2016, which aimed at understanding the experiences, the challenges and trends in developing GCF projects. And similarly to the study, it had a spotlight on a concept note and funding proposal development. The online survey was completed by a total of 46 people, which included 22 accredited entities, 5 of them being a financial institution, 11 NDAs at focal points, 9 consultancies and 5 entities that are wishing to be accredited. Firstly, we asked people what was the experience they had with the GCF, and the majority of them, 52% of respondents, said that they have been involved in preparing both concept notes and funding proposals. An additional 32% has been involved solely in the development of concept notes. So the main conclusions emerging from this study confirm some of our earlier results from 2016. In particular, the development of concept notes, despite being a voluntary stage, can provide an opportunity to obtain technical inputs from the Secretariat and to align the project with ongoing country processes. However, the preparation of concept notes is not always straightforward, and responded highlighted a number of challenges. which we will see more into details in the following slides. On the preparation of funding proposals, the survey highlighted how some requirements are considered more challenging and difficult to demonstrate than others. This slide illustrates the results on the preparation of concept notes. So survey respondents who had experience with concept notes were asked further questions about the benefits of preparing them. While an overall 75% had a somewhat positive response, the study highlights mixed feelings about the benefits of preparing concept notes. In particular, 25% of respondents stated that they didn't fully understand the comments that they received, and another 13% claimed that the GCF's feedback showed a lack of understanding of the project idea. It also has to be noted that the submission of concept note is a time-consuming activity, and quite a number of respondents, 25%, felt that this was not a useful investment of time over the long term, and they wish they had started directly with the preparation of the full proposal. For example, one respondent affirmed that the template is so extensive and detailed that it requires almost as much effort as preparing the funding proposal. In order to understand the efforts and capabilities required to prepare GCF funding proposal, we then ask people with relevant experience to rate the different requirements they consider to be most challenging or difficult to meet. In order of complexity, the requirements that were considered more challenging are the expected performance against the investment criteria, where 69% of people voted to be very complex and challenging. Followed by the financing and cost information, the result monitoring and reporting, and the feasibility study. On the other side, project and program description was considered by almost 40% to be simple or straightforward. The results are also similar to the findings that we had in 2016 from the GCF Insight number 2, where the most complex requirements at that time were considered to be the financing and costing information, the expected performance against investment criteria, and the preparation of supporting documents such as the feasibility study. In order to qualify for support, a project must demonstrate that they meet 6 investment criteria. We ask then participants to rate the criteria on a scale from 1 to 6, with 1 being the most straightforward and simple to meet, and 6 being the hardest to understand. The paradigm shift potential is the criteria that was considered the most difficult to demonstrate, scoring an average of 3.2 and a median score of 3. The second least understood criteria is the efficiency and effectiveness and the needs of the recipient, both with an average score of 3. As for other criteria, such as the country ownership, a number of people scored this criteria to be quite hard to demonstrate, with having 25% who scored 5, so almost the hardest to understand. On the other hand, the majority of people thought that the impact and result potential is the most straightforward criteria, where 32% of people rated 2 and 29% rated only 1. So the GCF Insight provided interesting results about the challenges and issues that practitioners are facing when preparing funding proposals. Regarding the concept note submission process, this is considered often time-consuming and not always useful. In particular, respondents noted that the comments provided at the GCF were not always clear, and there is a sense that some projects were not fully understood. On the other hand, the preparation of funding proposal has to meet several requirements which are considered very challenging, such as the expected performance against the investment criteria. And these results also matching our previous finding from 2016. Then there is a need for greater clarity on the GCF expectation and improved consistency of feedback that seems to be needed from practitioners. In particular, if the concept note will become mandatory for larger funding proposals, it would be valuable to have improved guidance on how the paradigm shift potential and effectiveness and efficiency, for example, can be met. As you probably know, there is a GCF independent evaluation unit which looks at the approved projects and give us further insights on the experience of preparing project proposals. So during the board meeting, my colleague Jasmine spoke to Joe Puri, the head of the GCF independent evaluation unit.
Our main focus overall from the IU is to prevent hand-wringing and regret. In many cases, when I talk about measurement and when we talk about causal change, we get responses such as data and measurement systems were unavailable, or, oh, so sorry, we should have built these at the beginning. The good part is we are at the beginning, and this is the time that we can prevent this overall hand-wringing or this regret and start to build this right from the beginning into our funding proposals. We would like to encourage you to think about building impact assessments right at inception. And we are available to provide the kind of training and design that you might require for this. In an overall study that we are still undertaking of funding proposals at the GCF, we have found that many of these could not credibly measure causal change, although they do have the potential to do so. Because they are not measuring or they are not visualizing their theories of change, we also find that 90% do not show awareness that their results reporting is likely to be biased. And it's a good time for us to start thinking about that as we start to build these funding proposals. We also found that most have a discussion of the theory of change, but the assumptions are unverified. Basically, we find that this could be a potential easy win for most funding proposals if they start to look at evidence from within the same contextual area and start to build that into their theories of change. We found that 2/3 of the proposals did not discuss or their theories of change or that these were unclear.